making a review or explaining all the trades I took last week, and we were on Monday, that's trading day 19. We had stopped, according to the playlist of the YouTube channel, I had stopped on trading day 10. And then for these other days between trading day 10 to 19, I was taking impulsive trades, and these impulsive trades made me get into a big drawdown in my challenge. That was something like negative 5%, yet the overall drawdown percentage is 8%. So I really needed to get out of that drawdown, and all the trades I took this week helped me get out of the drawdown, and I'm currently up 1%, and probably by next week I plan on passing the challenge. So trading day 19 for this week, this was Monday, and I came into the market looking for sales, and I had also posted it under the posts part of the the YouTube channel in my post. So on Monday, this is what I was anticipating. First of all, we had these fundamental analysis part of it. We had this news that the Trump tariffs and all these things, and from what I have seen in the markets about these tariffs this year, they negatively affect the stock market. And so by negatively affecting the stock market, we normally see bearish moves or a bearish sentiment. So coming into this week, I was looking for sales, plus even the market structure on the higher time frames. Much as we are still in a highly bullish market structure, I wanted to see a bearish market structure shift form, although it never happened. But yeah, this is what we had. Then I think I'm going to get back into the journal and explain it further. Yeah, so getting into the week, this is what I was anticipating. So on the US 100 and the hourly time frame, as you can see, we had this. The whole of last week was in an accumulation phase. As you can see, both the US 100 and this is the US 500, as you can see here. Yeah, so we had this SMT divergence, and yeah, that was an indication, a confluence for sales at this point here. But I'm going to be explaining for this week on Monday my anticipations for this week. So here, as you can see, according to the market structure, we had this intermediate low, and an intermediate low is a swing point where we have short-term lows on its left and on its right. So we can see that this was an intermediate low, and if price was to break it, as you can see here, then I would be expecting a bearish market structure shift long term into these new week opening gaps, because these new week opening gaps, they mean that there is inefficiency in those areas, so the market has to come back and rebalance them. And according to the IPTA, or the ICT interbank price delivery algorithm, it has two functions: to deliver liquidity, that is either buy side liquidity or sell side liquidity, and then its second function is to rebalance areas of inefficiency. Yeah, and we can see that here there is inefficient price action, as shown by these gaps. Yeah, so this is what I wanted to see. As you can see, this blue arrow, it was marking the anticipation I had for the week. And one of the narratives I had since last was that since last week was in an accumulation phase, I wanted to see a manipulation higher, and then we go down. Meaning, if we had like this manipulation high and then we go down, then this all-time high would be broken, and we would be taking out the buy side liquidity lying there, and then we go down. Or the other narrative was this, as you can see from the arrow, just continuing downwards, taking out this intermediate low, and then continuing into these new week opening gaps. And yeah, currently you can see, even when you draw the dealing range on the 4H, we can see that we were currently in a deep premium, and a premium zone is when, like, when you draw your Fibonacci from a swing point, one swing point to another one. Everything that is above the 50%, the 50% is also known as the equilibrium. So everything that is above the 50%, it's in a premium zone, and everything that is below the 50% or the 0.5 level, it's in a discount zone. So in premium, we're always looking for selling opportunities, whereas in the discount, we are looking for buying opportunities. Yeah, so that was another reason as to why I had I was looking for sales coming into this week. Basically, my whole bias for the indices was sales. The whole week I was looking for selling opportunities or bearish opportunities. Yeah, so these red lines here on the Fibonacci, they represent the OTE, or the optimal trade entry zones for the ICT optimal and trade entry. Yep, so that is what we had. We also have this market structure. Here we have the intermediate low, the long-term low. For the hourly, much as this, on the daily we had seen it was, I marked it as an intermediate low, as we can see here, but in the hourly, it's actually a long-term low, as we can see here, because we have, for a long-term low, it's when it has intermediate lows on both its left and then its right hand side. So this qualifies to be a long-term low, and we had all this. So I'm going to get into the charts and I explain what I did or the trades I took, because on Monday I never executed. I left the market to play out, and then I executed beginning on Tuesday. As we can see the statistics here, on Tuesday 15th July, according to my MetaTrader, these are the trades I took. And you can see I closed off the day with a 54.18 profit. Yeah, so it was, as you can, I remember I had said that I was looking for selling opportunities, and you can see that for the Nasdaq here, the NDX, and then the US 30 and the US 30 positions here, they were all sales. I was looking for sales. Then for the GBP USD trade, I'll explain it later on. Let me first focus on the indices. So when you get into the charts here, yeah, so for Monday on the US 100, this was the price action. Since I was expecting a bearish week, I just left Monday to play out, because normally on Monday, if we are to follow the AMDX thing, or the power of 3, which is accumulation, manipulation, distribution, we would expect Monday to accumulate, but that was the price action. So Tuesday, this is what happened, and I took my very first trade for the week on Tuesday, as we can see here on the journal. The trading day 20, yeah, that is what we had, and we were looking for sales, as I explained earlier on, for all the indices, and I took a sell position or a sell setup on the NDX, which is the Nasdaq, and then the US 30, which is also known as the Dow Jones. So for the Nasdaq, we had this SMT divergency. If I can show you all the three indices, this is what we had, and we can see that this for US 100 and this US 500 down here, US 500 is the same as the S&P 500. So we can see that the swing highs here, the US 500 and the US 100, they were making higher highs. As you can see that this is a swing high and this is a higher swing high. So they were making higher highs, whereas the US 30 made a lower high. So on all these three indices, the one that would be easier to sell is the one that has done or has made the lower high, because it means, lower high, because it means that it is too weak and it's going to easily sell. Yeah, so, and the other thing about an SMT divergency, for those who may not be familiar with it, it's a confluence that helps you know that maybe there is going to be a short-term reversal. Like if we have been bullish, then probably the market is going to shift in the opposite direction. That would be bearish. Like if we're moving from bullish, as you can see here, we were up, going up, and then here we went down. And as I had explained earlier on, I was looking for sell opportunities this whole week in the indices. Yeah. So for US 30, much as I also took a position in the Nasdaq, but I'm going to mostly focus on the US 30 setup I had. So on the 15 minute time frame, so on Tuesday during 9:30, or the time when the stock market opens in the US. Remember, I told you that my time is in UTC, New York time. So the stock market opens 9:30 a.m. New York time. That is 4:30 p.m. Ugandan time. Yeah, so I was looking for sales, and this is what we had. So first of all, we can see that market came, it took out this high, this buy side liquidity above this short term high, took it out, made that total soup or the stop hunt, and then it made the market structure shift lower, taking out this low as well. So you can see that this was an order block, and I entered off that order block. I placed my sell limit on that order block, and here my target were these relatively equal lows. Now if I can, yeah, these ones I had removed the line, but these were, that was my target, relatively equal lows, REL. So the reason as to why I placed my take profit there was that whenever we have these smooth areas, as ICT teaches, there is normally buy sell side liquidity below these. Yeah, so for the Nasdaq sell I had here, this was the setup, and we can see that it was a short term scalp. As you can see, we had this market structure shift taking out the buy side liquidity about this short term high, and then we came lower, rather here we took out the buy side liquidity above there, and then it made a market structure shift here by taking out this short term swing low that led to this stop hunt, and I got in from this fair value gap, as we can see here, the entry, and my target was these relatively equal lows here, much as I never used the wicks because we are dealing with the CFDs. So my target was around this position, this point here, and yeah, that was it. And I got out. And also at 7:30 we had CPI news, so you can see here 7:30 we had the USD CPI monthly and the annual news. So that was the execution for the Nasdaq sell setup. And then for the GU buy I had, it was from the London session, but when the CPI news came in, I was taken out at break even. So for GBP USD, this position, for the buy, the whole narrative was that this was the before, and according to the daily time frame, we had this price action, and we can see that we were heading for that market structure shift pending, but anyway, the whole narrative was that the sell side liquidity below the previous daily low of this candlestick was taken out earlier in the day, and then I wanted to see price retrace up to at least this daily. For GBP USD, this position, for the buy, the whole narrative was that this was the before, and according to the daily time frame, we had this price action, and we can see that we were heading for that market structure shift pending, but anyway, the whole narrative was that the sell side liquidity below the previous daily low of this candlestick was taken out earlier in the day, and then I wanted to see price retrace up to at least this daily CB, or the sell side inefficiency, buy side imbalance, sell side imbalance, buy side inefficiency, yes, or that fair value gap. I wanted to see price retrace up to this fair value gap and then continue going down. But when the CPI news came in, that is not what happened, and we can see that I entered off this 15-minute BC. We made a clear market structure shift here. As you can see, this took out this short-term low and then took out this short-term high, and then I wanted to see it retrace here, and there was also an SMT divergence between the GBP USD and the Euro USD here. Yeah, so that was the trade, and then the during was I shifted my entry to here, to this order block, because I wasn't very confident that price would go as low as the 15-minute BC. So it's basically I had FOMO. And yeah, price came, tapped into the order block, and then it went higher. It went higher, and then CPI at 7:30 came in, boosted it a little bit higher, and then it went down. And by the time it came down, I had already put the position at break even. That's why it shows 0 dollars. Yeah, so basically that was Tuesday. Those were all the trades I took on Tuesday. And here I attempted to enter the buy again after the CPI news, but it was an impulsive trade, so there was no reason for me to buy, because all in all, the after was that price actually went down. You can see here the after. This is what happened after price came, and it even closed bearish, as we can see here on this daily time frame. Closed bearish. And yeah, for US30, I had already taken you through it. We took out the relatively equal lows, as you can see here. This was the during. I waited, I was taken out at this trailed stop